My name is Bob Allen, and I'm the professor in this business ethics course. This video is intended to provide a little bit more information about the study of ethics. Ethics is about what is right and what is wrong, and how a person should determine what is right and what is wrong, and how a person should act when they have determined what is right and what is wrong. And while in many situations that people face, determining what is right and what is wrong is really straightforward, determining what is right and what is wrong is not always so easy. And once what is right and what is wrong has been determined, actually doing something about it can also be difficult. Ethics is based on two assumptions. First, that people are rational. That is, they will decide what they want to achieve and how to achieve the results that they seek. And two, that people are free. They can't be forced to make decisions that they don't want to make. There are a variety of ways to divide ethics into its component parts. There's virtue ethics that ask what kind of people we should be, and there is action ethics that ask what we should do in specific situations that will be ethical. There's distributive justice that considers the consequences of decisions and actions and how those consequences are distributed, and procedural justice that asks how ethical decisions are made and how actions on those decisions are taken. Another way to consider the component parts of ethics is to distinguish the different approaches to ethics and focus on the most important ethical questions. Taking that approach, the primary ethical questions are: how should people act? That's normative ethics. What do people think is right? That's descriptive ethics. And how do we put ethics into action? That's applied ethics. On the subject of normative ethics, which considers some of the major questions in ethics, there are several approaches to considering how people should act if they're going to act ethically. Virtue ethics focuses on the character of people making an ethical decision. What influences a person's ethical makeup? Are people born ethical or unethical? What are a person's ethical tendencies? Are they learned, or are they influenced by experience, or are they just born with them? And does the same experience affect different people's ethical tendencies the same way or differently? Deontology considers the basis for actions that people take, specifically whether their actions are based on duty. For example, the natural rights approach to ethics says that everyone has certain rights that must be protected, and any decision and action that interferes with those basic rights is an unethical decision. In a similar vein, categorical imperative says that there are universal moral rules that must be followed, and any action that does not follow those universal moral rules is unethical. Consequentialism considers the consequences of actions in determining if an action is ethical. The Hippocratic Oath that doctors take, which requires that doctors do no evil, is an extreme example of consequentialism. Another consequential approach to ethics is utilitarianism, which says that an action is ethical if it does the most good for the most number of people. Well, as you can see, application of these different approaches to ethics is difficult, but even more difficult is deciding which approach to ethics is appropriate, because each approach to ethics comes with some built-in difficulties. For example, if we look at virtue ethics, how does character affect ethical decision-making? Are there some aspects of character that have a direct effect on ethical decision-making, more so than other characteristics? Do those aspects that that affect ethical decision making ethical decision making in the same way with everyone, or do different aspects of character affect ethical decision making differently? And can people be taught to make better ethical decisions? If we consider the deontological approach to ethics, what are the sources of the duties that people act on in making ethical decisions? Are there some duties that are more important than others? And how do people recognize the duties that should influence their ethical decision making? And do different duties mean different things to different people? And considering the consequential approach to ethics doesn't make anything any easier. For example, the Hippocratic Oath, do no evil. If that oath is taken seriously, it might mean that no action should be taken that allows a terminal patient to die naturally, or even that an action that might cause pain to a patient now but would save that patient's life in the long run might not be taken. And utilitarianism says that to do the most good for the most people, but that necessarily means ignoring the consequences of an action to some group of people who are affected. So you can see that a lot of the study of ethics is about thinking through the reasons for action and the consequences of action rather than actually coming up with a right ethical decision.